Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining our SOAR webinar series. Today, we have two representatives from the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life, Bonnie and Michelle, to talk to you all about Greek life at UNC Charlotte. Please do note that your video and audio capabilities are disabled. So if you have any questions or anything, please go ahead and drop that in the Q&A section. They will do their presentation and then be answering questions towards the end. So do let us know if you have any questions regarding fraternity and sorority life, and I will send it over to our lovely presenters.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for that warm introduction and all the fun. Thank you all for joining us. You probably have lots of questions about what is fraternity and sorority? What is this thing we call Greek life all about? And hopefully we can answer all of those questions for you today. We have a plethora of things to get through, and so we will bombard you with information. And at the end, if you have any questions, feel free to use the question section and we will be sure to address those. But overall, we like to start these just by asking, when we say the words fraternity and sorority, what comes to mind? A lot of you may have some negative connotations. A lot of you may think of movies you've seen. A lot of you may think of TV shows or news stories, even that you've heard in the last few years. And those things can be a little unsettling. For some of you, maybe you were a member of a fraternity or sorority and your experience was one of the most powerful things you've ever done. And I know that was the case for me, which is why I'm sitting here. But also, we just kind of want to address, sometimes we hear some really special things about fraternity and sorority life. And here at UNC Charlotte, we address those things head on. So if you are thinking about some of those negative things, we will address those today, but also save those for the questions towards the end. But really, we also want to tell you, if you are thinking of those negative things about fraternity and sorority, you have a really great picture of what our community is not. Our community is full of powerhouse men and women that at the end of the day just want to be better human beings. And we get the honor and privilege of working with those people every single day. At this point, you might be like, that's great, I love that. Who the heck are these two women on the screen? As the intro said, my name is Bonnie Shade, and I serve as the Associate Director of Fraternity and Sorority Life at UNC Charlotte, and I have been at the institution for 7 years.
Hello, friends. I'm Michelle Gabadia. I am the Director of Fraternity and Sorority Life, and I have been at UNC Charlotte for 12 years this past May. So both Bonnie and I, wealth of information. We've seen it all in our time at UNC Charlotte. So let's dive right on in, shall we? What is a fraternity? What is a sorority? Some of you are joining this webinar and thinking, I don't even know what they are. Let's start at the very beginning. Fraternities and sororities are a group of men and women who come around shared values to do amazing things. The essence of fraternity and sorority life is to make men better men and women better women, period, the end. So the chapters are in full mode of leadership development and making sure their members and the community around them are better for the experience. We have 4 pillars of fraternity and sorority life at UNC Charlotte. Our office is encompassed around the pillars of leadership, scholarship, service, sisterhood, and brotherhood. So you'll see those as threads throughout our entire Greek community. All of our groups at UNC Charlotte, as of today, comprise about 44 organizations. For the men, there are 23 opportunities to be Greek. For the women, there are 21 opportunities to be Greek. Unlike other institutions, fraternity and sorority life is only about 6% of the student population. So what does that mean? It's not this overwhelming, everyone is doing it, I have to do it. No, not at all. There are over 450 student organizations at UNC Charlotte, and we want you to be a part of those. And if fraternity and sorority life is something you want to be a part of, absolutely, we welcome that as well. So only about 2,100 students are actually engaged in fraternity and sorority life at UNC Charlotte, which is a great critical mass of students, but it's not overwhelming and not everyone is doing it. And if it's not for you, that's okay. But we think it will be for you. Bonnie and I took a moment to introduce ourselves, but we are only half of our dynamic team that serves the fraternity and sorority community. We have Asia Woods, who's our assistant director, Melissa Knutson, who's our other assistant director, and currently we have an administrative assistant, Joe Harvey. We're actually located in the Cone Center. So if you're ever looking for our physical office, we're in 382 Cone Center, and that's where you can come and get all your questions answered. You'll also notice on the screen, all of us are affiliated. We are all sorority women, and we're all very proud of that. And we've all been sorority women for a while. All of us joined as undergraduate women, and it's something that we're proud about. And we like to talk about with anyone who wants to listen, because it's really shaped who we are as people and our careers. All of our groups are split up into 5 governing councils. While Fraternity and Sorority Life has complete oversight of our organizations, the governing councils are advised by each and every one of us on our staff. So a professional staff member oversees our 5 councils. The 5 councils are the Interfraternity Council, the National Panhellenic Council, the Panhellenic Association, the Diversified Greek Council, and the Independent Greek Council. Vanya and I are going to go into each council in detail, but essentially the governing councils give oversight and governance to the groups that fall underneath them. Bonnie, tell us about our first council.
Sure. At this point, some of you might be like, this is all Greek to me. If that's you, again, we're going to go through all of these. So write your questions down as we go through them. That way at the end, we can answer anything that you have. First, we're going to talk about our Interfraternity Council. This is home to some of the oldest fraternal organizations that exist. The very first organizations that were founded within the Greek system were founded underneath this council. We have 14 organizations through this council. They are large. They are men. So if you have a son who is looking to join a fraternity, this is for them. They are on the screen. I am not going to read them out to you because maybe you have an experience with this organization, or maybe you know someone who is a member of this organization. Maybe you have a best friend whose son joined an organization, whatever it is. But our motto at UNC Charlotte is that people join people, not letters. And so I could go through these and read all of them to you, but again, it's all Greek to you. And maybe you have, like I said, have had an experience with one of these organizations, but at UNC Charlotte, it may be different. So all 14 of the organizations that fall underneath this council are on the screen. These fraternities' average size is right around 55 members. My smallest fraternity right now in the Interfraternity Council is at about 10 members, and my largest is at about 76. So it really depends on the organization that you are interested in between what that size will be, but that average size is right around 55. The cost for the first semester is anywhere between $550 and $700, with the general average being around $625. Now, I'm going to pause for the cause because a lot of people are like, oh, wow, this is okay. It costs money to be in a fraternity sorority. Yes, it does. And a lot of that money goes to different things like national fees, national dues, new member materials, which is why that first semester is always going to be a little bit more expensive than semesters later on. It does not go to things like a t-shirt or a social event, or maybe some of those negative connotations of parties or what have you that you were thinking of in the very beginning. This money goes to the business of fraternity and sorority. And we also like to say, if you're not here for the business, you can't be here for the fun. So it's important that that you recognize and your son or daughter recognize that when we talk about dues, the cost of these organizations, that money first and foremost goes to the business of that. So the first semester for the Interfraternity Council average is right around $600 to $650. Each semester thereafter is a little bit less, around $450 to $550. And scholarships and payment plans are available for this council. Next is the Panhellenic Association. So ladies, listen up. Gentlemen, or if you have a son or someone who is looking to join a fraternity, go ahead and look at our Instagram, look at our social media. But this is for the ladies. So our Panhellenic Association is home to 8 Panhellenic sororities. These are some of the oldest sororities that we have in the country. They are large organizations. They are big organizations. And so they're on the screen. Again, I'm not going to read them to you because people join people, not letters. But the average chapter size for these organizations is 103 women, and that is what they are. So we really don't have an organization that falls too far below 103. If that is the case, they will recruit up to that number. So our Panhellenic community is right around 800 women strong, and they are powerful. Each cost for the first semester is a little bit more expensive than the men, and some of you might be following along with that. It's because they're a lot more organized. So they use their money in a very different way. But that cost for that first semester is right around $700 to $750, anywhere between $600 and $800. Each semester thereafter is around $400 to $700. Scholarships and payment plans are available for this council as well. The last 2 councils I just talked about, the Interfraternity Council and the Panhellenic Association, your student can join their first semester here. So this fall, we will talk about recruitment. I know there's probably lots of questions about that, but this fall, they can join immediately. They can join right away. If this is something of interest to them, or if this is something you would like to push them to do, this is absolutely something that they can do right away when they get to UNC Charlotte.
The next council we're going to talk about is the National Panhellenic Council. And this is a council that hosts the 7 historically African-American fraternities and sororities. Let me answer the question a lot of you are thinking, Michelle, what if I'm not African-American? And that is okay. These are organizations that do philanthropy and service around the African-American experience and community. And if you are down for supporting those causes, then this potentially could be an organization for you. So yes, we have had non-African-American students join our MPHC, as they're affectionately called, council. So please keep an open mind about that. All of our organizations are open to anyone. The only place we discriminate is by gender. The men got to join the fraternities, the women got to join the sororities. But if you're feeling any of these organizations that Bonnie and I are going through, feel free to go out and try to join these organizations. These are the 7 of the historically African-American fraternities and sororities. We have 7 of the national 9 currently on our campus. They are listed right there on the screen. The average chapter size is anywhere between 10 and 15. Some of our chapters have become as big as 40. The average cost is anywhere between $900 and $1,350 the first year, and maybe $150 to $200 each year thereafter. For those of you who are paying attention, you're like, wait a minute, Bonnie just talked about these 2 other councils and the money was very different. What's going on here? Well, you actually cannot join one of these groups your first semester. Bonnie told you that you can join IFC and Panhellenic your first semester. MPHC, you cannot join as a first semester student. They want to see at least 12 credit hours of academic performance under your belt and some leadership experience before they allow you to pursue their organization. So by not having that first year, the dues are slightly higher to kind of make up on that front end. There are not scholarships and payment plans offered for this council. It's usually a one-time check to pay your initial dues. So keep that in mind. You have a whole year to save up in order to pay the dues for this organization. So if you're interested in these organizations, it's very important that you go to their events and their programs that they have all throughout your first year or your first semester at UNC Charlotte, so you get to know each and every one of them. The men and the women are also in the same council here. So there are fraternities and sorority in this council particularly, but again, they house the historically African-American fraternities and sororities. They are a vibrant bunch. They are a healthy council. They have events where over 1,000 people show up. They are a good time, but they're also doing amazing work in the community at large, and especially in the areas of service. The next council is our Diversified Greek Council. Similar to MPHC, the one I just talked about, this houses our historically Asian, multicultural, Southeast Asian, and Latino fraternities and sororities. There are 11 groups all together. Similar to MPHC, you cannot join your first semester. They too want to see at least 12 credit hours of academic performance and some leadership experience under your belt before they actually allow you to join their organization. So that's important as well. These are the groups listed here. Again, men and women are in the same council. The average chapter size is about 11. Currently, our largest chapter is at 18. The cost is $400 to $600 the first year, $200 to $400 each year thereafter. These organizations are slightly smaller on the national level. So again, the cost is in direct proportion to that as well. Like MPHC, this council is huge on service and serving the community and getting into interests and concerns and causes around the Asian, multicultural, Latino, and Southeast Asian cultures in Charlotte and all around. So you want to be mindful of that. But again, if this is something that interests you, they're open to anyone who wants to pursue that as a fraternity and sorority experience. Last but certainly not least is our Independent Greek Council. These are 5 organizations that are nationally affiliated, but there's no national umbrella to put them under. So at UNC Charlotte, we call it the Independent Greek Council. There are 5 groups. The first one you see on the screen is our Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math sorority. So any woman wanting to have an experience around her major of science, technology, engineering, or math, that could be an opportunity for her. Sigma Alpha Omega is our Christian faith-based sorority. So any woman looking to have a faith-based Christian experience as a sorority woman, that could be an option for her. Phi Mu Alpha Symphonia, that's the third one you see on screen, is our music fraternity. So any man who's a lover of music or majoring in music at UNC Charlotte, This is an opportunity to have a fraternity experience rooted in that. Alpha Gamma Omega Fraternity is our Christian faith-based fraternity. So any gentleman looking to have a faith-based experience in Christianity, AGO is for you. And last but not least, but very new to our council, is Sigma Alpha Iota, which is our music sorority. So any woman who's a lover of music and or majoring in music, this is an opportunity for her. Average chapter size, about 20 members. The cost is significantly less. Again, these groups are, again, smaller at the national level. So the dues collection is lower, but these are fully nationally affiliated organizations. And again, open to men and women who want to join and have a very specific fraternity and sorority experience. Now that I've gone through all of those councils along with Bonnie, you're probably thinking, oh, this is good. This is actually better than I thought. Michelle, Bonnie, what are the advantages of being Greek? You've ran through the organizations. I like them. I like y'all. What are the advantages? What can we expect? The first is leadership. If you follow our office on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you'll see we end a lot of our posts with hashtag We Make Leaders. We are in the business of leadership development. In conjunction with other offices on campus, we believe that we have one of the best areas where leaders are made and leaders can grow and leaders can go out and change the world. So we are huge on leadership development, and we have a lot of different programs for our fraternity and sorority men and women specifically to enhance their leadership development. Scholarship is another advantage of being Greek. As a director of Fraternity and Sorority Life, I'm proud to announce that yet again, and we are about on an 8-year streak where the all Greek GPA is higher than the all student GPA at UNC Charlotte. Our all sorority GPA is higher than the all women's. The all men fraternity GPA is right on par with the all men's. We do not play around in the classroom. I don't know what stereotypes you know about Greeks being dumb or not caring about school. We care about our education, so much so that we publish our students' grades. So if you go on our website, you can see how well and how poorly all of our chapters have done since the spring of 2008. We keep that all on our website because we want to be very transparent that we are about scholarship, and we are going to prove it by showing you the receipts, if you will, and by continually having a GPA above the all student. Community service is also a big part of being Greek. We like to tell people, if you don't like doing nice things for other people, Fraternity and Sorority Life is not for you. You're not going to have a good time at all. This is a place where people come together to better themselves and the community around them. And again, we keep track. We know that our community raised over $155,000 in philanthropic funds last year. We know that our students gave over 11,000 hours in just community service and goods to the community around us. This is a major part of Greek life. Are we having fun? Absolutely. But before we can get to the parties and the mixers and the step shows and the strolling, community service has to be done first, because that is really our fundamental purpose in being in a fraternity or sorority.
A couple more advantages. Networking is huge. Networking is one of those things that we talk about and we like to brag about, but there's a fact when it comes to fraternity and sorority life that there are connections that maybe people wouldn't have necessarily made. And so it's important to note, though, that if people are not great people, the networking's not going to work. So it's important to recognize, like, you still have to put in the work in order to be better. But once you are better, fraternity and sorority will help uplift you even more. And that networking and those alumni relations piece is absolutely instrumental. Every single one of our organizations has an alumni advisor, meaning a member of their fraternity or sorority that helps them with the cause of the organization, with recruitment, with the bylaws, with everything in regard to that organization on top of our office. So that is already a built-in person that is there to kind of get to know your student and also provide them with some guidance as they go through their fraternity and sorority experience. University involvement is also huge for us. We've got spirit. Yes, we do. We've got spirit. All right. Hopefully you shouted out, yeah, the last part of that. If you didn't, that's okay too. But we've got spirit. Yes, we do. We've got spirit. How about you? We want our students to get involved. We want them to go to the football game. We want them to go to the tailgate. We want them to enjoy their collegiate experience in whatever way they can. And with that comes getting involved in other things. We expect that every single one of our students is involved in at least one other club or organization, and that a certain percentage of that also is involved in leadership in one of those other clubs or organizations. We want our students to have a well-rounded experience. And we know that that is outside of fraternity and sorority as well. So a lot of the organizations individually as well will have some standards with that. So definitely ask that question throughout recruitment or as you're getting to know these organizations of like, what does the involvement standard look like? Am I able to get involved in other things? Am I able to have a job outside of this? The answer is yes, by the way. You can have 1, 2, 3 jobs if you want to outside of a fraternity or sorority, but university involvement is huge for us. And last but not least, if you have heard nothing else we say, I need you to hear this. This is about brotherhood and sisterhood. At the end of the day, these are people that are going to rally behind your student, wrap their arms around them and be like, are you good? Are you okay? How's your day? How's your life? How's your dog? How's your grandma's gallstone surgery, right? Like whatever it is, they're going to ask that and they're going to be curious. And so if your son or daughter does not like people, this might not be for them because these are genuinely going to be brothers and sisters that they love and cherish. Before I even knew the person I was going to marry, I knew who my bridesmaids were going to be. And they were all sorority women. Some of them were my sorority sisters. Some of them were in other chapters, but they were all sorority women because they played a huge part of who I was developing and who I grew up to be. And then when I did marry a fraternity man, every single person that stood next to him as a groomsman were his fraternity brothers, his chapter brothers, the person who married us, a fraternity brother. And now that I have a daughter, I also know that she will be able to enter this world of fraternity and sorority life and hopefully have those people to look out for her and support her in so many new and different ways. So brotherhood and sisterhood at the core is what fraternity and sorority life is all about. So it's important that your son or daughter recognize that and understand what that means from the jump. We do have some really cool signature programs that we do that we as an office are insanely proud of. Some of these are going to look a little bit different this fall, just given the state of our world with COVID-19. And so be on the lookout for what these different events are going to look like. But our NPHC and our DGC have 2 signature events really to kick off the year. They are still going to happen. It just might be in a virtual, different kind of format. But for our National Panhellenic Association, our National Panhellenic Council, NPHC, it is our yard show and stroll competition. These are 2 events that happen in the fall that bring out over 1,000 people from the community, of students, of alumni, of everyone who wants to be anyone that comes out and just watches what our organizations are about, understands a little bit about the culture, and learns a little bit about the history and the tradition of these organizations. The DGC picnic is very similar. It is an event where our Diversified Greek Council comes out, shows out, and has a great time to talk about their values and how they put that into poetic movement. It is absolutely beautiful. The IFC Showcase is an opportunity where men who are looking to join the Interfraternity Council get to know every single chapter, or will have a chance to meet with every single chapter and just kind of see how those people are, right? People join people, not letters. And so this is a great opportunity to do that. AFLV stands for the Association of Fraternal Leadership and Values and is the prime leadership experience in the country for a conference. And it is something that we are blessed to take many students to. It happens in February. So fingers crossed that February things are a little bit back to normal and we can still take a large contingency to that. We also have a senior transition program called TELOS, and this is kind of a one-of-a-kind program in the country. We believe that our seniors need to be invested in as they're getting ready to go out into the world. There are things that I wish I knew as a graduating senior that I'm still trying to figure out, like mortgages and 401ks and those sorts of things. And so how are we helping our students understand and develop these things before they get out into the world? And so that program focuses on that. And then finally, the last 3 are just kind of some fun things that we believe in and we absolutely love. Airband is huge for us. This picture on the screen is from Airband. It is a mini Broadway production. Go ahead and go to YouTube. Our office has a YouTube channel at UNCC Go Greek. So go ahead and check that out. National Hazing Prevention Week is our opportunity to talk about how hazing has no part in our community. And we will talk about that a little bit more as well. And then finally, our Road to 50. Our community is turning 50 years old in 2020. And we are amazed, excited, overwhelmed with joy for that. And so we have a lot of fun things planned to celebrate that journey to being 50 years old.
A couple of you probably came into this presentation thinking about, how about housing? Do I have to live in a Greek house? Are there Greek houses? Let me put your mind at ease. UNC Charlotte is not a housed campus. We don't have a lot of fraternity and sorority houses. In fact, we only have sorority houses. And in fact, we only have them for one council. We are a chapter campus. The chapter lives and breathes in the people, and where we do our things are all over campus, whether that's programs, events, maybe we'll go uptown to have a gathering, things of that nature, but we are of the community. We are not sheltered in our private houses elsewhere. There are 8 organizations, the Panhellenic Association, Bonnie talked about that earlier, who do have houses in Greek Village. Greek Village is owned and maintained by Housing and Residence Life. So the same people who maintain all the residence halls on campus, Greek Village is one of them. And all 8 of our groups have a house in Greek Village. All of the houses hold only 28 people, which means in chapters that are over 100 women large, you might not have to live in the house in your 4 years at UNC Charlotte. We definitely want people to live in there, and they can only house 28 women at one time. So be mindful that if you join a Panhellenic organization, you may have to live in the house one time in 4 years, or you may never actually get the opportunity because the women always are clamoring to get the house full and people actually want to live there. They're really nice houses. They're singles, unless the chapter has doubled up in the rooms and you share your bathroom with 1 or 3 people. So that's a pretty nice deal. And they're located right on our campus. You don't have to go off campus for that. Off campus, we do have 2 groups that have houses that are recognized by a national entity. Kappa Sigma Fraternity and Alpha Sigma Phi both have nationally recognized houses off campus. That's it. We have 44 organizations. As you can see, we only have 10 who actually have a physical house because, again, we believe in the chapter, and that's where the chapter thrives. In fact, the reigning fraternity of the year doesn't have a house. The past sorority of the year winners don't have a house. So it's really important for you to recognize that having a house is icing on the cake, but it does not make or break the fraternity and sorority experience at all. And we kind of like our setup. We like that our students engage in campus, have chapter meeting on campus in the student union, do programming on campus, use the resources uptown in Charlotte to do formals and mixers and date parties. We like that. We like that they're not sequestered in some area. For the most part, our women use the houses to sleep, which we're excited that they're actually getting a good, nice rest on campus.
We love to hear it. So at this point, again, we've been alluding, we're going to talk about recruitment. We're going to talk about what that looks like because it's changing almost every day, it seems. And so we're going to give you kind of a 30,000 foot view of what recruitment could look like for each of our councils that we discussed. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the interfraternity council recruitment. So those oldest men's fraternities that we have on campus. These chapters are going to be holding individual events. They will be virtual, they will be small. A lot of them are going to be outside and masks are going to be required. It is a mutual selection process for that. What that means and what that looks like is your son will be getting to know these men and these men in the fraternities are going to get to know him. And they're going to make sure that they attend every single event or every single organization that they are kind of digging, right? Like again, people join people, not letters. So let's say they meet somebody and they're like, you know, this dude is a cool dude. Awesome. Go back to that fraternity event because if there's something interesting or particular about that person that you like, more than likely it's called fraternity or sorority. And so make sure that you're getting to know what that looks like on a deeper level. But these organizations will be having events, again, smaller in size, some will be virtual, but mask will be required for everything. The Interfraternity Council will also be holding a week of pre-recruitment events. These events, also limited in scale, limited in size, all of them will be outdoors, masks will be required. And if your son cannot bring a mask or doesn't have a mask, one will be provided for him as well. There is a registration link. It is on the screen. And if you need more information or want more information, you can always follow us at UNCC IFC on social media, all platforms. That is what it is. There is a $20 fee to go through recruitment. Some of you might be like, wow, $20 to go through recruitment? That doesn't seem like a lot. Or maybe for some of you, you're like, why does it cost money? Our events cost money to host, and we are providing masks and hand sanitizer and lots of things to keep everyone safe this year. And so that money has to come from somewhere. And so we assess a small fee when it comes to recruitment to ensure that we can provide a safe and well-rounded experience for everyone involved. The Panhellenic recruitment or PHA recruitment, these are home to those oldest women's organizations that we have on campus. There is a formal weekend held by the Panhellenic Association that will be virtual this year. It is going to be a virtual experience for the first 2 days. The second 2 days, we are hoping, pending on phases for our state, that we will be able to do smaller in-person rounds with masks, with women being 6 feet apart from each other. So that way, there's just kind of a dynamic sometimes that you can just kind of get by feeling someone's vibe. You know, I call them mirror neurons. And so you're really able to just kind of understand what someone's about by being in the same space as them. And so we find value in that. But if that doesn't work out, we're going to do a fully virtual process. And it's going to be different this year, but we're excited for the opportunity to create something new. So that is a formalized week. It is also a mutual selection process. So what that means is that every night, your daughter, your student is going to be putting in preferences. And those preferences that they put in will be viewed by the chapter, and the chapter will say like, okay, cool, we really like her too, let's invite her back. And those invitations will be going out as well. And if you're invited back, you have an opportunity to go back to a sorority and get to know them a little bit more. There is a fee associated with recruitment. It is, I believe, Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, $90. Does that sound correct? $90. Some of you, again, are paying attention. Why is it more money? Again, they're more organized. The women have their stuff together a little bit more. So they are collecting a larger fee in order to give your daughters a better experience. And if you have questions about what that looks like, you can follow us on all social media for that as well, at UNCC Panhellenic. Feel free to ask questions that way as well. And again, these two councils, the IFC recruitment and PHA recruitment, your son or daughter or student can join their first semester here. So this fall, these events are happening. So yeah, be sure that they're aware and they know what's going on. I will say some dates as well. IFC recruitment is happening September 22nd through October 2nd, and Panhellenic recruitment is happening the last weekend of September. So those are important dates to know. They will need to register by those dates if they're interested in either IFC or PHA.
So DGC and MPHC, those are the culturally based groups I talked about earlier. You can't join your first semester. So what does that mean? You should definitely go to any programs they're having this fall or in the spring, virtually or in person if it's allowable, and get to know those different organizations. They do intake, which is what they call recruitment, at various times of the year. Again, for new students, the earliest you can join is probably spring. Some groups take second semester, freshmen or transfer students, but the earliest for most is usually their sophomore year. We tell you to follow them on social media. They are social media heavy. So if they're having an event, a program, anything is going to be on Instagram for the most part. You can follow DGC at UNCC_DGC, and you can follow MPHC at UNCC MPHC. Again, anything and everything that you need to know about any program they're doing, the individual chapters, links to the individual chapter pages. This is a really great place to start looking at these groups and getting a feel for these groups, and definitely attending the events and the programs they have virtually and in person. That is allowable this fall and definitely in the spring. Our independent Greek council that I spoke about last, they too do intake and recruitment throughout various times of the year. Following them at UNCC IGC will give you the best bang for your buck in understanding what they're doing. But again, because theirs are very specific, they have their own unique ways of doing recruitment events and intake events and rush events. So we ask that you follow those groups specifically if you're interested in any of those very specific experiences. Social media is key. We encourage students and parents to follow us, our chapters, our councils, because that's where all the information is going. It is quicker than the phone. It is quicker than email. The information is going to be up there and it's going to be the most up to date. So social media, heavy for fraternity and sorority life. A couple of extra facts as we close up. Hazing is illegal. One more time. Hazing is illegal. One more time, just in case you fell asleep and you just woke up. Hazing is illegal. And I say that because a lot of people feel like this is an essential part of fraternity and sorority life, or this is just something they should expect in fraternity and sorority life. Not on our watch, not at our school, not UNC Charlotte. We take a very strong stance against hazing prevention here at UNC Charlotte. I'm not gonna tell you that all 2,100 of our students are angels. However, when we find out that something has happened that goes against the values of not only UNC Charlotte, our office, and the organization, we put a full stop to it. And if we have to get rid of the organization, we will. And in my 12 years as being director, we have suspended fraternities and sororities for engaging in behavior that is inappropriate. We have zero tolerance for it. And we tell students, if you want to try us, go for it. But we have won literally every time. Hazing is illegal. I want to give some of you some peace of mind that this is not something we glaze over and we take very seriously, and we're transparent about it. So transparent is that if you go to our website, we have a section called the scorecard. And the scorecard gives chapter size, chapter nickname, the active members in the chapter, new member GPA, things of that. But if you scroll down, if a chapter has ever been in trouble in the last 8 years and they're still an active chapter, their entire discipline record is there. We want you to know that any chapter we currently have, if they've ever had anything in the past, you can know about it. We encourage you to ask the chapter about it. Hey, we saw that you guys had an incident a year ago. How have you addressed that? How are things better? We want to be transparent about holding our students accountable. And we're one of the only offices on campus that does anything like that. So definitely check out our scorecards. The link for that is right on our website. This is a lifetime commitment. This is a lifetime commitment. This is not something you join on Monday and you quit Friday. So we want students to really think about what they're taking on and a commitment they're about to make. I know I can speak for Bonnie and myself when I say it's probably one of the best singular decisions we've ever made. And had you told us years ago that we would both be sorority women, we would crack up and we say, no way. But to know that this is what we've made our life's work means that there's something special here and there's a commitment to it. So if you have trouble with commitment, again, I want you to do your research, take a look at our groups, look at our websites, and really understand what you're getting into, because the best place to find out who you are is to be in the place where you don't have to be anyone else. And that's right here in Fraternity and Sorority Life. We're really proud of that. And we're really happy that you're considering joining our community this fall. And as parents, you're educating yourself in wanting your son or daughter to engage in this community this fall.
Absolutely. And again, we are open books. We want you to continue to ask questions, continue to learn, continue to dive into information in whatever way you see fit. And so on the screen is our phone number for our office, our website for our office, and then our social media information. Again, Michelle said social media is big for us. We love it. We want to make sure that you get information as quickly as possible. And so this is all of our information. So feel free to reach out to us. If you email us or go to our website, you will be able to find our individual emails as well. But again, thank you all so much for being with us today. The next slide simply says questions. I'm going to go back a slide so that way you can view this information or check it out if you want to screenshot it, write it down, take a picture of it, whatever it is. And I have no idea if we have any questions that have come in or not. Maybe.
I am not seeing any in the box.
Taylor, do we have any questions at all that have come in?
Oh, I'm on mute. I haven't seen any in the Q&A function either. I think we have a few participants in here. Y'all have any questions for us?
We are a wealth of knowledge, but also drop a lot of knowledge. So if you don't, we also understand, friends. We understand.
It's also Friday. People are tired.
It is Friday.
But you have our contact information. You can slide into the DMs. You can call. You can email. All that. We will respond to you and get you whatever answers you need. No worries. No worries. We're just looking forward to having you as a Niner this fall.
Well, if there are no questions, I think we can go ahead and send you all off. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to our presenters, Bonnie and Michelle, for all the lovely information about fraternity and sorority life. I hope you all have found it very beneficial. This will be up on our YouTube channel if you want to go back and just re-listen to the PowerPoint or anything. Make sure you follow them on all their social media and contact their office if you have any questions for this upcoming semester. Have a great day.
Perfect. All right, everybody. Go Niners. Go Greek. Woo-woo.
And